Oh, well, you can go ahead and get my money back because I can't do nothing with that.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who this is, girl Claire B coming at you with a new video. So today we're going to be talking about Love is Blind Season 8, Episodes 1 through 6. So we are back for another season of Love is Blind, which takes place in Minneapolis. Okay? So this season, I just want to let you guys know, was very much a little bit slower. Not that entertaining, not that interesting. Like, first episode, taking a nap, sleeping on the first episode. Like, it was very much just trying to get through these 6 episodes. And they're an hour long, each episode. And tell me why. These 6 episodes are just pod episodes. We didn't even get like a little scene of, you know, the little resort and, honeymoon special. We didn't see none of that. It's just pods. Like, I remember back in a couple first seasons, it was episode 2, 3. After like episode 3 ending, it was like, let's start getting into, the honeymoon special. But now we're spending 6 episodes, 6 hours plus on just talking in the pods. Like, please step it up, Netflix. Now, they did say that this season had the most number of contestants. So, I mean, I guess. But essentially, in these first 6 episodes, we have 7 couples that we kind of like looked around or centered around for the most part. Now, out of those 7 couples, it went down to 4. Only 4 people made it out alive. So, and that's just from the pods. We didn't even make it into the real world yet. So, we'll have to see. But the first couple I'm going to talk about, because after the first 2 episodes, you don't want to see them again, is Joey and Monica. Joey and Monica, they talked, they got engaged. Episode 2, they saw each other, had it revealed. And, they're engaged. Let's talk about the main love triangle of the season, which involves Madison, Alex, and Mason. Madison, she basically came in first episode, basically told the guys about, her dead brother, the drug addiction, so on and so forth, basically her trauma, stuff like that. She made a connection with both Mason and Alex. They kept talking with her, whatever. So she told Alex later on that she had like an avoidant behavior, that she tends to be avoidant in relationships. So that was kind of like a big red flag for Alex. But, he still continued, dating her or whatever. Anyways, it seemed like that she and Alex were having a little bit more, of a connection than her and Mason. Like, she gave Alex her favorite bear, her Berlian, like her bear, and he got to like show it off to the guys, whatever. They seemed a little bit more closer than her and Mason. So Mason basically, he still thinks he had a chance. So she goes and tells Mason, they're like talk how, this other girl that Mason's talking to named Meg, she's basically the only one that Mason is talking to on her end. So she basically reveals that information to Mason, saying that Meg is only talking to you, basically it's only all about you. I'm getting more affirmations from Alex or, my other connection, whatever. And, basically she kind of let it at that. So in Mason's mind, he's thinking like, maybe I need to be more affirming to Madison, He's not really taking the hint that she's just trying to push Mason and Meg closer together, and not her saying outright that she feels more of a connection to Alex. So Mason, in his mind, he basically thinking that he's supposed to be opening up more to Madison, which he later does, because he tells her in the next conversation or whatever that he's committed to her. So she's at this point really not feeling Mason like that. She's more focused on Alex. But she doesn't tell him this. So Mason's thinking like, he just needs to be more affirming to Madison, like reassuring to her, whatever. That's what he thought by her basically putting Meg's business out there, because Meg didn't even tell Mason this. So, and that basically right there lets Mason know that both Meg and Madison are talking on their end of the whole situation. So, there you go. Anyways, she later decides to end things with Mason. And I guess after Mason said he was committed to her, he kind of felt like he shouldn't have said that, whatever. So when she was breaking up with him, he was basically telling her like, after she said everything that, he does regret saying that he was committed to her. So she felt some type of way like, oh, like she felt so like hurt by that, even though she's breaking up with him, didn't really want him. Like, I don't know, what more do you want, Madison? Anyway, Meg, the other person in the situation, she's basically like, well, if she does break up with Mason, I feel like I'm second fiddle, I'm second best. And she has like likes her pride, of course. And she's like, I don't know how I'm going to deal with that. So she's just like, well, if you do break up with Mason, then how do I know if he made a choice to pick me? Like, I'm here by default. So this is why you shouldn't really be chatting too much when you're in the whole quarters, because that's when it starts to get messy. I mean, if you like, that's when it starts to get messy, because you kind of like, everybody's essentially speed dating, having multiple connections with each other, depends. And sometimes, it is what it is. Now, granted, you're at one time, you're going to feel more of a connection to one person or another person. And, it is what it is. She wanted to break up with Mason. I mean, doesn't necessarily mean that, Meg is by default, but it does look like a bit sticky, weird situation here. So Meg, after hearing all of that, she broke up with him. He basically regret what he said to Madison. I guess he was like feeling bad about the whole situation because, he came back from the breakup and he was just like, I just know they're talking over there. And like Alex was like, no, they're not talking. Like, he's like, yes, they are talking over there. Get into his day with Meg. Meg is just basically saying like, I don't know how I can move on in this experiment knowing that, I might have been the second best option. And I'm not going to hold you, Meg. But I'm like, we got Zach and Bliss as a testament that you could move on. Like, you could move on and, live a good relationship or have a good relationship, after, all that fact. He made a mistake. He believes that he made a mistake, whatnot, so forth. And, look at Zach and Bliss. That is a testament of a guy made a dumb mistake. He basically had Bliss on the back burner, get into this bad situation, and then he had to come running back to Bliss. And therefore, now they're living happily ever after, have a child, everything. So, I mean, it's not always all bad, in this situation. He does regret the situation. He does apologize to her. But she just like, I don't know if I'm going to move on with, knowing that I can be, that I'm second or by default. So it basically ended their situation. It was the last day of the pods anyway. So she's like, I'm going home. He's like, yeah, it didn't work out. So now we have Madison and Alex. And Madison, she basically felt that Mason was basically playing her and Meg and like had some type of like manipulative behavior or whatever, or being a liar or whatever. So she was like still hurt that he's like regretted it or took back, saying that he was committed to Madison. So when Alex decides to have a date with Madison, they're having like gifts, sharing gifts, whatever, having like a little decent moment. And, they're having a chat. So he's like, let's talk seriousness. Like, about the whole thing with Mason. Like, I see your point of view and I see his point of view, whatever. She didn't like that Alex was seeing Mason's point of view, of him, regretting the situation and saying whatever he said to her. She's like, oh, how can you say that he's valid in saying that? Like, how can you say it's valid? Like, oh, he said that he regretted saying that I was committed to you after I broke up with him. And she felt so hurt by it. But I'm just like, get a grip. Like, you broke up with him, you didn't want him. He just told you that he regretted it. I mean, I guess he was planning on telling you before you broke up with him, whatever. But it is what it is. You know, he's on that side with Mason anyway, so he obviously sees his point of view. He's dating you, so he's gonna see your point of view. He's just saying he sees both sides' point of view. She's just like, I would rather you say that, you know, you're sorry that, you know, he made you feel that way, I don't want to hear you say, you know, he's valid in that, and So she basically shut down, started like trying to use a coping mechanism of basically tapping her fingers on objects, whatever, and basically shut down that conversation. She's like, I don't want to really hear about Mason anymore, whatever. So he tried to turn around the conversation, like talk about other stuff. When he did, she's just like, I don't think I can talk about the future anymore because you just ruined the mood. So she's like still trying to cope with the whole situation. I guess she's so hurt by Mason saying that he regretted that. Like, what's going on here? So then he brings back the avoidant behavior. Like, okay, how am I gonna know that you're gonna be here? You know, she's like, I'm here in the pods, am I? I'm here in the pods. And he's just like, you know, like, how I know we're gonna have a good communication, this and that and the third, like, you know, are you always gonna shut down in a situation? And she's like, I can only promise I can do the best I can, whatnot, so forth, so on. Anyway, she's just basically like, yeah, the answers that she was giving wasn't really good answers, and how she was acting, responding towards the whole Mason situation, just kind of like the domino effect. Like, he was trying to give her a chance, and she basically fumbled it, and he was just like, yeah, I don't think I can move on or even get engaged to you, especially knowing that you have like situations like that, you can't really have a proper communication, all that, so forth and so on. So she was so happy breaking up with Mason, and turn around, Alex decided to leave her in the pods. Okay, he basically ended it with hers because he was like, yeah, this is the last day of the pods, and I don't think we're ready for that next step to be engaged to each other. So he decided to end things. So Mason didn't end up getting engaged. Alex did not get engaged. Madison, she got nobody. There you go. There you have it. It's the Madison, Alex, and Mason saga that is finally put to bed. So now we got this another kind of triangle between Molly, Dave, and Lauren. So Lauren in this another situation where she was just basically there for Dave. Dave, his personality in the pods is basically kind of like, no, like, he basically told the girls that he was basically there to, you know, because of how he treated his past relationships, how he treated the women in his past relationships. And basically this is kind of like his therapy, essentially. So, you know, how he entered the pods or opened the pods was basically kind of like a little passive aggressive. He asked somebody their age, and they're saying like they're like 35 or 36, and you're kind of like, oh, you know, you're not attractive or something like that, he said. But like, yeah, Dave was just wasn't not it. But Molly and Lauren seemed to like him. So here's how this went. Molly and Dave, you know, Molly was feeling so great with Dave. Like, every time she comes back from her date with Dave, it's just like, oh, she's so happy. She's giving the girls like what went down the date. Like, she's so happy. Like, she's thinking that she's gonna get engaged soon. And then you have Lauren over here like, I don't think she knows that I'm dating him too. Blah 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 blah. Like, basically kind of like giving her the side eye. To you know, Molly, basically kind of just feeling like she couldn't be in the same room or same area where Molly's always talking about the date with Dave, da 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 da. So, you know, Molly's basically thinking like, okay, Dave is going to pick her, going to get engaged to her. He's going to dump his other connection, which is Lauren. Lauren's like, I keep on hearing Molly have all these good dates with you, and what was tea? Because I'm dating you and I'm not getting the same thing. So what's tea? So he basically told Molly that, you know, Molly was his number one, all that. Basically, Molly asked if you're going to dump Lauren. He's like, I'm probably gonna end things with Lauren or his other connection and whatnot. So Molly's over here waiting, like, yeah, they're going on a date now. I think he's gonna end things with her. It's been an hour. Lauren basically confronts Dave, basically say like, what's up, what's tea? He's like, I'm confused, try to flip the script, whatever, all that. Basically kind of like still keep on having Lauren like basically say, Molly doesn't have it all right. I was a little bit confused, like, I do really like you, like, now it's all on Lauren now, whatnot. So he ends up breaking up with Molly, even though he's the one that told Molly that he's probably going to end things with his connection with Lauren, Lauren, to be with her. He ended up breaking things up with Molly. Molly's just like kind of hurt, sad by it, but she's like, all right, cool. Gets with Lauren, they have more dates, and then ends up getting engaged to Lauren. So Lauren, thinking that she was gonna was told that she was gonna get break up with, to end up getting engaged to the same Dave guy. Like, there we have it, there we go. So we got Lauren and Dave. So then we have this other, situation, which is Devin, Brittany, and Virginia. So Devin was dating Virginia and Brittany. He was getting on with Brittany. Brittany and him had like a lot of, similarities, connections, whatever. They both play basketball, whatever, all that and the third. So Brittany revealed to him later on, after he revealed to her that he had like a drug addiction to ibuprofen, whatnot, stuff like that. And how he overcome that by the grace of God. So then Lauren was basically telling him that she had past relationships with women, and that, the woman in these relationships see her being married with them, but she never saw herself being married with the woman. She always saw herself getting married with the guy. So that's what she was telling Devin. So Devin just like, taking that information in, asking questions, so on and so forth. I guess his reaction to her revealing that was kind of like, wasn't what she's used to, because people are like, oh, okay, cool, but I guess he just said you just gotta think about it, whatever, because obviously, they're dating to get married, essentially, so, it wasn't on her side. And anyways, they had another date. And the date, she basically told Devin, like, I don't think you're my person. And he kind of felt the same way. They ended things amicably. And he basically was focusing on Virginia. Now, his thing with Virginia is that Virginia was not really opening up. So that's why he kind of like, he really likes Virginia, but Virginia was not opening up with herself and like her situations. He's just like, I need to know about you before I can make a decision of like if I want to marry you, whatever. So Virginia was just basically saying like she's very closed off like that because, of her past situations, whatnot. She's like, the reason she's here is for Devin because, she has a good life back at home. Like, she don't need to be here, but she wants to be here for him. Anyways, with Devin, he continued to date Virginia. They end up getting engaged. Because she did start to opening up and, they like what they're doing. And, that's what it is. So Devin and Virginia are an engaged couple. So then we got this other couple, which is Ben and Sarah. So Sarah, basically your typical liberal Caucasian lady. So they're in Minneapolis. Okay, so she asked him about Black Lives Matter, BLM, and George Floyd because it happened in Minneapolis. So she was asking Ben about this. Ben told her that he doesn't really have an opinion about these things. He stays out of these type of things. He told her that he didn't even vote in the last election, all of that, so forth. Like, and she's like, I'm big on my morals. Like, if you're not for like equal rights and all that, civil rights, basic human rights, all that, like, that's like the basic of being in a relationship. And, he's basically, I don't have an opinion. So then she's like, I don't really want to feel like I have to teach you these things, which is kind of ironic coming from her, because I'm just like, you feel like you don't want to be burdened with teaching somebody else about civil rights, BLM, all that. Like, all right, Sarah. But anyways, she said that to Ben. Ben, he's still ignorant on this topic, whatnot, so forth, and things of that nature. Anyways, she still ends up saying yes to the engagement and getting engaged to him. So I'm just like, okay, Sarah. Like, all right, Sarah. Like, you saw that big red flag of the whole situation. You still kind of like, oh, yes, I'm still going to marry this guy or get engaged to this guy, which was like, all right, Sarah. Anyways, that's your other engaged couple. So then I believe the last couple to get engaged is Daniel and Taylor. You know, got it off on, the pods, whatever, got on, but they got engaged. Like, we're just gonna keep it at that, but they got engaged. So they had the face reveal, whatever. And then she had a revelation episode 6 after the, face reveal. And she was like, I remember this guy following me on Instagram. And on my Instagram, I have basically, I like Taco Bell, this, that, and the third. Like, basically basically the basic things of her personality in her Instagram, in her bio, whatever. She had like story highlights on like her trips and whatnot. And she remembers this picture of this guy drinking, having a glass of whatever in his hand, his legs crossed, and he's by a Christmas tree. So he's just like, I feel like that guy is Daniel. Daniel have seen me before, being in the pods. And just kind of like, did he basically figured me out during the pods and kind of like stuck with this decision? So having this revelation, had to have that like basically come to Jesus moment with the cameras, basically called him up, basically said like, yeah, let's talk. And, he just like asking him questions like, did you have this in your Instagram? Like, I feel like you saw me before, you unfollowed me, unfollowed me, whatever. But you saw basically my life, know what I look like, know what my, likes and dislikes are. So I'm just like, did you really generally took this experiment properly, or what did you do? So they're going to have a conversation about it, but at this point, it doesn't look like they're going to continue with this engagement. Like, you don't do all of that and still continue with the honeymoon and engagement. Like, so the couple got engaged, but they're not moving on. Like, they did not move on. Word to Tara. It's like, you're not moving on to the next competition. So that's basically it. Out of the 7 couples, only 4 remain, which are Devin and Virginia, Ben and Sarah, Joey and Monica, and Lauren and Dave. That's the couples. Those are the couples. That is it. We got the whole basically non-couples that, in the preview we see Madison, she seems still salty about the whole Mason thing, like, oh, he's a liar. But because we see Mason and Meg, they like decided to speak off the outside and have like a little relationship, or see what they're like on the outside, whatever. And I guess her realizing that or finding out, she's like, oh, telling Meg like, oh, da. But I'm just like, at the end of the day, Meg doesn't know you personally, and they didn't get engaged. But I mean, if she does want to on her own accord, date the guy and see what this guy's about, what is it to you? You didn't want to be with the guy. You didn't want to date the guy. The guy just took back him saying he was committed to you. He didn't do anything wrong. So I don't know why you're meddling in the whole situation and saying that he's a liar. The real liar that you want to point fingers at right now is Dave. So we see Molly have like a little chat with, Dave and the whole situation in the preview. And then we see Brittany talk to Devin. So basically all the people that they date or have like a strong connection to are just going to have a one-on-one conversation with their person that they was chatting to in the previews. But that is about it. We're going to be focusing on 4 couples moving forward, which like that Daniel and Taylor, as we know and see, they did not move along. So, but who knows? But that was episodes 1 through 6. That's basically it. There is really not that much drama. The drama basically is coming from Madison and Dave. But that was episodes 1 through 6, season A. I mean, I'm still going to continue watching it. We are back for another season of Love is Blind. So be tuned into my reviews. And anyway, guys, if you like the video, comment down below any of your doubts, comments, concerns, and you guys subscribe to my channel, subscribe. Anyway, guys, watching this video. Peace.